Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Better Horses. You know, for the next 30 minutes, we plan to educate and entertain a little bit, but actually show you the appreciation of what we get to do is ride these horses every day. And today we're in Lone Jack, Missouri at the Sitter Downs Arena.
That's right, Ed, and we are joined with Mr. Phil Haugen, and he is going to share a very special tip with all of our Better Horses fans.
Yeah, so the last couple of days we've been having an advanced horsemanship clinic here, and a couple of the things we've talked a lot about is understanding the thinking side and the reacting side of a horse's brain, and so how the responses are that come from those thought responses. So when your horse is using the thinking side of their brain, that's when we get the more desirable responses. When your horse is using the reacting side of their brain, that's when you get the more negative responses. And that's one of the things you really have to understand as you progress your horsemanship.
More tips coming your way. Hello everyone, my name's Ed Adams, along with professional horse trainer and clinician Phil Haugen from Weatherford, Oklahoma.
And I'm Susie Arbo, and welcome to Better Horses.
And we begin with professional horse trainer Phil Haugen. Be your best horsemanship. Phil's going to demonstrate and explain training through horse understanding.
Next, we are heading west, down to the Flint Hills of Kansas, where Matt Jobe describes tying up your horse safely on a highline.
So that they're tied up out of the way. And now wrapping up the show with the Double Dan Horsemanship. This is an elite horsemanship that is in high demand, and we are thrilled to be bringing you the clinician and trainer, Dan James. So I promise you this is going to be an episode you're really going to enjoy. And we're the only horse show on your local broadcast television station.
And also airing nationally on RFD TV and the Cowboy Channel.
We'll be right back.
Those of us who devote our lives to the animals we love can recall a kind of dawning. A time when something inside us awoke, like a seed planted deep within us and it taken root and begun to grow. That one seed set our course and determined who we would be, how we would live. We believe that purpose is what sets us apart and binds us all together. It's why our family built a company dedicated to supporting the animals we all care for and this lifestyle we share. Stanley Premium Western Forage, grown for the life we love.
Welcome to Better Horses. My name's Kelly Sitter-McComb, and this is a 8-year-old Palomino quarter horse named Goldie. My family owns and operates Sitter Downs Arena in Lone Jack, Missouri, and we're this weekend hosting Phil Haugen Horsemanship all the way from Weatherford, Oklahoma. Let's go inside and see what they're doing.
I'm Phil Haugen. I'm here at the Sitter Downs Arena in Lone Jack, Missouri. You know, so with the Advanced Horsemanship Clinic, obviously we're going to advance to more aerobic type drills as we go through the clinic, but initially it's going to be foundation horsemanship principles, because every great horseman out there has great fundamentals, great basics, and that's what it takes, because you always have to have something to come back to. You know, especially in my world where it's speed events, with speed, you're going to stimulate that reactive side of that horse's brain. So you're going to get in some situations where you have to be able to bring them back to that thinking side of their brain, and that's where foundation horsemanship comes in. You know, one of the biggest challenges with advanced horsemanship is collection, having great collection, because for a horse to have great collection, that's not natural to their natural body position and their conformation, because every horse starts out, like just like this horse, your horse, they're front end loaded already, okay? They've got a concave back already, and then we put a pad and a saddle with a wood tree covered in leather on it, and then we sit on it. Well, for a horse to really collect and be soft and balanced, that rib cage needs to pick up. They need to be collected and behind the bridle. And that's, for me anyway, that's a learned habit. And it takes a lot of correct repetitions to create that. My go-to exercises are lateral flexion and my one-rein stops. I have a lateral bending exercise that I work on so that I can work on my lefts and rights, keep my horse nice and soft, but then also start to really reinforce that collection. Yeah. Any aerobic exercise, like in the performance horse world, those horses have to do some extremely athletic maneuvers. And so to do that, if you have that lateral softness, that vertical softness, collection, we can put their bodies in a position that makes that exercise or that task easier for the horse. And that's the biggest challenge, because when you get your horse in a position to where you make their job easier, they're going to enjoy that job more. But when you have your horse's body in a position that when they go to do their job, it's hard on them and it's hard for them to do their job, they're not going to enjoy that very much. From the horsemanship standpoint, really to me, the disciplines are relevant. If you get a horse that you have a great connection with and they understand the response you're asking for before you ask with your bridle reins, because really and truly, as we've talked about, the signal before the signal is the one that matters. That horse has to know from your feel what's coming. And when you have that, then the stop or the turn or whatever it is, that's easy. But as far as the discipline, you know, for me, it's kind of irrelevant. Because if you have that great connection with your horse up here, getting their body to do what I want it to do, it's easy. Well, the different breeds of horses, as far as from a horsemanship standpoint, I think you still, no matter whatever your discipline is and whatever task you're trying to complete, I think you still have to have that connection with your horse, yes. Genetically and physically, are some horses have more ability, or are they built in a way that benefits them and that in certain disciplines? Absolutely, absolutely. Because you go from the cutting to the reining to the barrel industry to the roping industry, the cow horse, you know, dressage, eventing, all of those disciplines, you'll see a different type of horse. Maybe a different size of horse, different bloodlines. Yeah, so, you know, genetics has a lot to do with your discipline. There's no doubt. I mean, you know, race horses, you know, a lot of the barrel racing horses are racehorse bred. You know, they have running blood in them. Why? Because it's a fast event, right? So yeah, and you see a lot of crossover of that in the other events as well. You know, if you're a family that's never been in horses and you want to get into it, you know, you have to find a reputable person that will help you start progressing into that area that you're interested in. And that's a little bit challenging, but at the same time, it's the best it's ever been in history too, because there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of good teachers, coaches, trainers out there. You know, just like no different than what Better Horses is doing for the industry. It's providing information, providing interest, you know, piquing interest, you know, stimulating interest from lots of other people. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there right now. It's more available to somebody that hasn't been involved in it than it ever has been, I think. Yeah. You know, the easiest way to get a hold of me is go to philhaugenhorsemanship.com. That's our site. You can look us up on Facebook and Instagram as well. We've got about 30 events this year. We're going to be mostly in the U.S., but in Canada some. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty busy year. A lot of those events, a lot of them are already full, but there are a few events that still have some spots open. So if you want to look us up on our site, you can get registered. It's real easy to get registered. Hey everybody, I'm Phil Haugen. I want to thank everybody for attending the clinic this weekend, and thanks for watching Better Horses.
We are Better Horses!
Stay tuned. We'll be right back right after these messages.
What do you get when you bring together one of the biggest names in veterinary medicine with one of the most caring and committed teams of horse health experts in the industry? You get a vaccine portfolio known for its quality and safety, a pharmaceutical line you can rely on to help manage pain and support performance. You get the products, programs, and people of Merck Animal Health.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
No matter what discipline of riding you do, training, showing, and everyday stress is hard on your horse's legs. Decra Veterinary Products is a leading lameness company that brought you Osphos. Osphos is a clodronate injection, an intramuscular bisphosphonate to help control the clinical signs of navicular syndrome in horses 4 years and older. Ask your veterinarian if Osphos is right for your horse. Decra Veterinary Products is a proud sponsor of The American.
Quick Draw Highline is one of our sponsors. They gave us this Highline and another Highline, and so we'll talk about their Highline. So a few things to think about. One, you can see the tree saver that I put around the tree. Just protects the tree, gives us a spot to hook into. That's a great thing. Some simple rules that I like to use is the rules of 7. So when I put my first horse out here, I like him at least 7 foot away from the tree. I like my rope to be 7 foot in the air, and I don't like my next horse to be at least 7 foot away. And so rules of 7. 7 foot tall, 7 foot away from the tree, 7 foot away from the next horse. The Quick Draw Highline comes with these aluminum clips. Pretty nice. You can tie your horse there. I like to use simple hay string. So if your horse has never been highlined before, I like to use a hay string. Put it over here. Put what's called the Prusik knot. Put it there, then I tie to this. That way if they freak out, get scared, get worried, they're gonna break this. They're not gonna tear down the line, hurt any other horses, whatever. And so I like to use just simple hay twine. The cool thing about the Prusik knot here, we can go around it a couple times here. The reason you would use that knot is because it slides real easy. But yet whenever your horse is on it, it doesn't slide at all. And so that's a really cool knot, simple way to use. Again, the Quick Draw Highline came with these aluminum ones that fit right in there, so we don't have to do anything about it. The other thing is, you notice how loose these horses are tied? That's because we're sitting here. We can watch them if they get in trouble. I like the end of the lead rope. This one's kind of long now, but I like the end of the lead rope to be about 1 foot above the ground. They can eat, they can stretch this line, they can do what they need to do, drink. But now when we go to bed or we head off over the hills, any horses left here, I want to tie them up here. so that they're tied up out of the way. They can't get their foot over it. They can't get hurt. That's typically the first thing that happens is they put their foot over the rope. So when you're sitting here watching them, you can let them eat, let them loose. Whenever you're not sitting here, you're going back to the hotel, whatever, tie them up high so that they're not getting themselves hurt. Then lastly, one thing to think about, this one doesn't have a swivel on it, and this horse is doing just fine. Sometimes you'll see that they swivel and they swivel and they swivel all night long, and so without that swivel, you're going to come back and that rope's going to be twisted into 14 different curls. And so one option is to put a swivel on them, and so if your horse is sitting there spinning around all night, it keeps them from being loose, or from getting overly tight, I mean. And so simply, if my horse has never been high-tied, I want to use a hay string just so that they can break the easiest thing to break. And the second part of that is rules of 7. I want 7 foot from the tree, 7 foot off the ground, 7 foot to my next horse. I like to use a tree saver so that I'm not tearing up trees. And on this particular model, something really cool, you know, we've used ratchet straps, we've used different things. On this quick draw, they call it quick draw because right here is how you ratchet it. So as you put it up there and you need it to be tighter, just pull on it and it's tight. And so that's super cool, and it's awesome that the company gave us a couple of those, and we get to use them. We used them last night. They work awesome. So any questions about high tying?
What kind of knot do you recommend to tie them up with?
Just any kind of quick release, like you normally would. Yep, good question. And then, you know, typically if you leave their food bag and leave their water bucket, they're not going to be able to reach it when you're gone to the hotel and stuff, so they're just going to step in it and kick it over. So I wouldn't do that. But when you come here in the morning, loosen them up, let them eat. When you're sitting around talking, whatever, leave them loose. You do have to watch saddle horses that they're not spinning around, getting the lead rope caught on it, or that they walk underneath it and catch the saddle horn. But mostly when they're on the tie line, they're going to be not saddled. So, yep. So these are our tie lines. If your horse is at your trailer and you want to bring it up here, go ahead and we'll help you put it on. If we need to add another tie line, we have room. We can add to that trailer. We can add another one.
Hey cowboys and cowgirls, don't go anywhere. We have more better horses coming your way.
So I went to several different dealerships. I started at Heritage Tractor, and I didn't want to buy a piece of equipment that can only do one job. I wanted versatility to be able to fit in a small space, but also still do big jobs. And so I went with the 2 Series John Deere. I got a 2038R, and I can switch in seconds between any attachment, and I haven't seen anyone else who offers that kind of speed and adaptability. There's not really a day that goes by that I don't start that tractor up.
No matter what discipline of riding you do, training, showing, and everyday stress is hard on your horse's legs. Decra Veterinary Products is a leading lameness company that brought you Osphos. Osphos is a clodronate injection, an intramuscular bisphosphonate to help control the clinical signs of navicular syndrome in horses 4 years and older. Ask your veterinarian if Osphos is right for your horse. Decra Veterinary Products is a proud sponsor of The American.
If you're passionate about the environment and your horse's bedding, we urge you to look into WRG Eco Shred Bedding. Made from clean, recycled corrugated cardboard, Eco Shred provides absorbent, biodegradable animal bedding, vacuumed out so it's dust-free and highly absorbent. Eco Shred Bedding is made from recycled materials, perfect for horses and small animals. Save the environment and order the finest bedding for your barn. Go to nebraskawrg.org or call Heartland Horse Products at 620-637-2455.
G'day, Dan James here from Double Dan Horsemanship, and today we're going to be covering mark training. We're going to show you an insight on how the movie horse industry would use it in order to help horses gallop from point A to point B. We're going to show you some of the benefits that include helping your performance horses and the reasons why that we use it. Alright, get ready. G'day, I'm Dan James and I'm here to talk about mark training. So spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about this piece of wood that we're seeing right here. So this piece of wood is called a mark, and the mark training is one of the most essential pieces of our foundation when it comes to training our Liberty horses. But it all starts way back from the movie horses. and how that they were able to get horses to run from point A to point B. If you imagine a scene from a film that's one of your favorites from your horse movies, of seeing that horse run wild and free as he ran across the beach or maybe through the countryside, more than likely it was done with mark training. We're going to show you today some of the benefits as to why and how that we use mark training. Okay, so I'm going to back off my horse off the mark, I step on it, and then I go to working him right away. So when I'm working my horse on the mark, I'm always standing on it. If I'm on the mark, he's to be moving around me or doing his job. If I hop off the mark, he's to look and to want to take it. I'm going to push him out here a little ways from me. I'm going to look for a change of direction. Then what I'm going to do here initially, guys, is that I'm going to split my whips, step off the mark, and allow for my horse to do it. I'll send him around here a little bit further, step off the mark, help him to find it, and allow him to take it. Okay, the next part that I'm going to show you is that I'm going to back him off my mark again. And this time I'm going to test to see if he actually really wants it, okay? So there I help guide him to the mark. In the next demo that I'm going to show you here, I'm actually going to step just towards his hip. What this does is that it actually tests him to see, are you going to follow me or are you going to take the mark? What I want my horse to do is to take the mark. Both of them would be correct if he was to follow me. That's not a bad thing, but what I really want him to do is to desire this mark. So I'm going to step off there but towards his hip, walk away, and allow him to take that mark. Good boy. Go back to it. So you could see there was just a little bit of a hesitation right there in taking that mark. I'm going to step him back off it here. I'm going to give him just a little bit more work here and say, hey, come on, because before we get to our next exercise, we want to make sure that he's nice and tuned up before that we go and run him to our mark. A little more pressure right there. Step off, pop that whip, have him take that mark. Good boy. Okay guys, so two major questions that we always get asked about the mark training. How long does it take? It usually takes us several days to get to the point to where that we've seen Swampy working around, changing direction and getting on the mark. There's several steps in how that we go about presenting it to our horse and building to that point. The next step beyond that is, of course, we start running the horses out in a laneway to help to channel that energy to get them running to the mark. From there, out into the wide open spaces. And of course, also replacing the mark with ourselves or another horse. Okay guys, so before we send our horses to the mark, I always let them know where it is. Okay, so again, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to move Swampy around my mark. Then allow him to take it. And this is so that when we take the horses away from the mark, we're going to be running them back to this position, okay? So it's not that we're ever coming out here expecting our horses to be like a hound dog and to be able to sniff it out and find it. They know where the mark is. We lead them away, and then we're going to allow him to run back here to us. Okay, so in this part, especially when you're teaching your horses about running to the mark, this is a part where you've got to have a friend, a family member, somebody that's good on your staff that actually likes this part of the job, because they get a lot of exercise in this part of the process. Ooh, steady, steady, steady. Good. Okay, so here we are. We're going to send our Liberty horse running in hard and fast to our horse, our ridden horse. So if you've seen any of my freestyle reinings, this is where you would have seen our Liberty horses or several Liberty horses running in to our ridden horse. So I'm going to cue Avery here. I'm going to turn Swampy loose and have him running on in. So Avery will drop the loop off his nose. She's going to turn him, walk with him just a little bit, and send him in here to us. He runs in nice and hard and fast. As he approaches, I step forward, I'll take my whip just over the top here, step forward, wait for him, bring my whip here in front for him to side pass to me. I'll ask him just to back up, to square up and be nice and square here beside my ridden horse. And that's how we go about sending our Liberty horse to our ridden horse.
Closed captioning has been brought to you by Line a Week
and Flat Tail Ranch.
Those of us who devote our lives to the animals we love can recall a kind of dawning, like a seed planted deep within us and it taken root and begun to grow. It's why our family built a company dedicated to supporting the animals we all care for and this lifestyle we share.
We're here for the hardworking, the resilient. We're for the people who measure their days by what needs to get done, not by hours. Where kids learn responsibility at a young age and generations work side by side. Where work doesn't pause for holidays or bad weather. It just gets harder. Where value and hard work means more than the clothes you wear. We're Kleinschmidt's Western Store, Higginsville, Missouri.
What do you get when you bring together one of the biggest names in veterinary medicine with one of the most caring and committed teams of horse health experts in the industry? You get a vaccine portfolio known for its quality and safety, a pharmaceutical line you can rely on to help manage pain and support performance. You get the products, programs, and people of Merck Animal Health.
Hey, thank you for watching Better Horses. And if you've missed any of our shows, check us out at betterhorses.com where you can see all our episodes.
You can also follow us on Facebook or listen to any of our podcasts right from your mobile device.
And don't forget our newspaper coming out 5 times a year.
You're gonna love it.